All right, time now to bring in our pal, Joel Klatt.
Speaking of participation trophies.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
And Joel Klatt is brought to you by Groove Toyota.
Yes.
Thank you, Joel.
Hello, Joel.
How you doing?
Nice, Stoke.
Why are you taking
Nice,
why are you going with
Stoke.
why are you going with the participation ribbon right
That's
away?
what you were alluding to. With the
that-
like stars keeping it closed.
Oh, okay.
Trying to
Yeah.
keep up, Mike. I don't know how else to say it.
Well, I thought you were taking a shot at me, so I was.
No,
yeah,
no,
you have a
no,
lot of
no.
participation
Yeah.
trophies,
I'm,
Mike. You
I'm
do.
I'm a little sensitive. I'm a little
Yeah.
sensitive to that.
He's on edge.
Hey, Joel, he's got a whole room at his childhood house with nothing but like pink and white ribbons.
Yeah,
my
that's
dad
right.
made me throw one, I never got one, but if I ever did, my dad would have made me throw it away.
Yeah. No
Hey, listen. The 8-year-old, and it just says the sport, not first place, second place. It just says like 8-year-old baseball.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are so funny, man. I mean, my stomach hurts by the time I'm done listening to you three clowns. Okay.
All the trophies stink. They don't have the riser. It's just the little plastic player on
Yeah.
the flat piece of wood.
On the
You know,
flat
it's just
piece,
like,
right. Yep.
You baseball. Here's your player.
You're
Well
right.
done,
Baseball,
Mikey.
there's a hockey guy on top of it. We ran out of baseball players, but it doesn't really matter because you didn't get a lot of innings.
Are
So
you
there's
guys-
some hockey
Yeah,
dude
that's
on
right.
top.
Are you guys done?
Oh, good.
Are you done? Can we get on to the matters
Sorry,
at
Mike.
hand
Sorry,
here?
sorry,
Okay,
Mike.
okay.
I'm sorry we disrupted your flow.
Yes, Joel, as a Bronco fan watching that fourth quarter comeback after 3 quarters of dreck, did you get Tim Tebow vibes or did you get John Elway vibes?
How dare you? Oh, my goodness. That just threw me off. It gave me shudders. No, I mean, listen, I don't want to put them in either category. I did get vibes of perfection can be problematic in the sport. And I think there are times with Sean Payton that he wants the perfect play call. Well, first of all, if you've ever been in an install with him, like he's one of the great installers of concepts that I've ever been around. And there's such level of detail and perfection to every install and concept. And Bo, with what I know from covering him in college, he is a one of the reasons I thought this marriage would fit is because he's more of a black and white style quarterback. He doesn't want to live in the gray area. He wants answers. And Sean will give you answers, but there is a smidgen of a downside with that. And when both guys are searching for perfection, sometimes you're unwilling to take a chance and unwilling to play in the gray area. Now, in that fourth quarter, what I saw is there are times when you just got to be like, hey, man, nothing's working. And so there's no heat on the sheet, if you will, for the play sheet. And so we're just going to call some things and it's like, hey, man, you're just going to have to cut it loose. And so all of a sudden you're outside of the black and white and you're in this gray area and you're just saying to yourself, I'm going to see what matchup I like. I'm going to see where I can place this ball placement where my guy can go and get it. And we're just going to go out there and be aggressive. And I think that was a great learning lesson for not only Bo Nix, but also for Sean Payton. Now, granted, it's wild at the end and to ultimately come back and win is crazy. But I think that there is something to this idea that if you just play for perfection and that everything has to be right all the time, sometimes there's some paralysis in that mode. And you've got to go and cut it loose and play in the gray area at times.
So Joel, obviously that fourth quarter was great. I mean, they started running the ball better. Bo was making plays with his feet. Obviously, he made some great passes there. So you're saying that he just needs to play more freely and stop thinking as much, the other 3 quarters and just let it loose?
I think that that's a good way to put it. I don't want to minimize the fact that he's still in the first half of his second year.
Right.
So there are things, Sean might be throwing a 8th year Drew Brees game plan at him and he's like, whoa, in swimming and that could be also what's happening. But I do think that there was some freedom in that fourth quarter. Now, whether the defense was softer or, you finally wear them out and the altitude helps and you start running the football, all of that is a factor. There's no doubt. But there also was a level of, I would say, freedom to Bo's play where you didn't see – There are times with Bo, when I'm watching him, there are times that I still see him thinking. And I didn't see that in the fourth quarter, and early in the games, there isn't the quickness and sharpness that sometimes I'd like to see. And I think that has to do with the size and scope of what they're trying to do schematically in the game plan.
Joel, I've talked about this. We've talked about this before. The inaccuracies of the deep ball with Bo Nix. He has just really struggled throwing deep balls, and it's not just about not completing them. It's not even giving yourself a chance to draw a pass interference penalty. And so the question is why? Why is he struggling so much with throwing the deep ball?
I don't know specifically because I haven't worked with him. But here's what I see is that Bo's what I would call platform changes quite a bit when he's throwing the deep ball, and he tilts back with his back shoulder. Now, you would think, I think the layman would think like, well, that's how you have to throw it deep. And yet the really great deep ball throwers keep their front shoulder more level, and the platform stays more level. And when you throw the ball with more of a level platform, it has a chance to turn over, and you throw it with better touch. And then you become more like a three-point shooter than you are like throwing the football. Because when you throw the football, the back end tends to stay down for too long in the first half of the throw, and it doesn't turn over. Stoke, I think that you probably understand what I'm talking about, because when you're a receiver on the other end, you want that ball to have that beautiful arc and then be coming down and pointing down to you versus flat. And there are times when I feel like if the platform changes and it tips back, you throw more of a flat ball than an arcing football with touch down the field. The last thing that I would say is it's hard to see this from the TV copy, Stink, but I will tell you almost always when a guy is inaccurate throwing the football down the field on touch passes, when you're clearing the defense and trying to throw it down the field, generally speaking, his eyes follow the football and don't stay on the target. This is I've used to talk with Jim Harbaugh about this all the time, and he used to put a video camera in front of his quarterbacks at Michigan when they threw deep balls early in camp, just to put an emphasis on their eyes and see where their eyes go. So if you're thinking about it, our human inclination is to follow what we throw almost immediately. You throw something and your eyes go right to where you just threw. And it's actually the exact opposite. Great shooters tend to keep their eyes on the basket in basketball. Pitchers tend to keep their eyes on the target or on the catcher's mitt, or there's a focus there. And great deep ball quarterbacks can make sure that they keep their eyes on the target, and then that creates a lot more accuracy down the field. So those are the things that I would say about just generalized deep ball throwing.
Yeah, Joel, talk about the impact of not having a vertical passing game, not having that threat of going by guys.
Worst.
How much more difficult does it make, your intermediate and your short passing game?
It's awful. If you can't get the top off the defense, you can't do anything. You can't affect the defense from a side-to-side standpoint. Conflict becomes tougher. Run-pass option becomes tougher. Run-action pass becomes tougher. Play-action pass is ineffective. It's the worst. The safeties are down. You can't account for them. Stink knows this. You never account for a safety in the run scheme. And so if you can't put some sort of vertical pressure on the defense, just pressure, just a threat, then life is going to be virtually impossible for you the rest of the day, in particular in the NFL, just because those safeties, again, are unaccounted for in the run game. If you can't run the football, you're going to be in second and long. If you're going to be in second and long, then you're throwing the football when you have to versus when you want to. When that happens, they can bracket, they can sit, all these different things start to compound when you can't get vertical. So it always starts with, can you run the football on first down? Then the next thing I think in building a game plan is, can you threaten the defense deep and in a way that makes them believe you can do it at any moment? And once you do those two things, you're going to have a really successful day on offense. Really successful day on offense. And Denver's been unable to do that. I did think he threw the ball down the field, granted in intermediate zones, better late, and that's some of that freedom. Like, for instance, think some of those throws late in the game when they're coming back, like he is putting it in a place where his wide receiver can make a play. He is going back shoulder with 10 seconds left, and I'm like, well, that's one of the better throws he had all day.
Joel, you're as good as anybody when it comes to trying to figure out, read, translate what Sean Payton is thinking. Please, if you could, to the best of your ability, explain Sean's method to the madness, because it is madness for a lot of us. Why all the screens?
I think you can get enamored with something on film that you see that is effective, and so you build a lot of that into a game plan, and then I think that's part of it. Now, the other part of it is that was a lot of what Bo did at Oregon. And the screen game is an extension of the run game. And so if you're not feeling the run game, if you're not gaining the yards that you need to, it's a way to get a free 4 and 5 yards in particular early in the down set to create a third and manageable situation, because everything in the NFL, at least, is bent towards what are you doing on third down? What are you doing in 2 minutes? What are you doing the last possession of each half? Right? Like that's the entire game. And so you're trying to construct something that gives you a more manageable third down situation so that the ratios are in your favor and not in the defense's favor. And so there's a lot of screens because of that. I don't love screens, but that's probably because I see copious amounts of screens at the college level. The bubble screen, the wide receiver screens, the tunnel screens from the running back, the middle screens, all of those different things. And I think coaches can get just enamored with them. And there are times in a game plan when you see something against the defense and you want to try to attack that, and you build some substantial package into your game plan. And then there are also times that I do feel like Sean tries to legitimize his Tuesday night and Wednesday night work on Sunday versus just seeing what's in front of him and calling it. That's when there are play callers in both levels. And I know this is going to sound harsh, but it just is what it is. I'd love your thoughts on this, Stoke Instinct. There are play callers that are vanity play callers. Vanity play callers meaning like, I built this sheet and damn it, it's all getting out there because I want you to see all the hard work that I put in, versus guys that don't get bored taking a profit. And their beauty is in their simplicity. And we'll just say, like, if you're not going to stop this today, then I'm going to run it 8 different ways, and I'm going to continue to do so until you stop it.
Yeah, Joel, this goes back to something I say all the time. Like, for you, as a guy that calls games on Saturday and does a phenomenal job with that, you got to still call the game that's in front of you, not the one you thought was going to break out when you studied all the film. And,
that's right.
And I hear what you're saying, and I always say there are guys who call plays because they're on the play sheet, and then there's guys who call an offense. And I want the guys who call an offense based upon what the defense is doing and what we're having success with. And that I completely concur with that.
Let me give you an example. I can't remember the Super Bowl number, but when the Patriots played the Rams with Sean McVay in the Super Bowl, do you guys remember that Super Bowl?
Yeah, 13-3.
And yeah, I mean, it was like there was no offense whatsoever going on, and New England did an incredible job. They got into bear looks and took away the 11 personnel and took away the ability to play action and do these things that have been so effective for that Rams team, and took away that slice zone and split zone that they were so good at running. But in order to win the game, they had to score some points. And so they put together this drive. Do you guys remember this? They got into, I think it was empty, and they called the exact same play, like same form, same everything, 3 or 4 times in a row down the field. And it was just a play that had a lot of different options for Tom. If he got man, he could go to Gronk. If he got zone, he could go into the hitch, into the boundary, and all these different things. And he threw 3 different routes right down the field, and ultimately they wound up scoring a touchdown and won the Super Bowl, partly because Josh McDaniels didn't get bored taking a profit. He didn't dive into his play sheet. He said, wait, that worked. Let's stick with it.
Joel, finally, you said it was a couple of weeks ago, it was probably a matter of when, not if, Jay Norvell would get fired. He did get fired. My question to you is the CSU job an attractive job?
Well, yes. Yes, in the sense that it's a head coaching position. There's not, there's only 132 of those or 33 of those at the Division I level. So scarcity makes it an attractive job. I do think that for a group of 6 school that's not in the Power 4, they have a good amount of resources. They have a history of success. They've got a fairly new stadium, and in college standards, a ridiculously new stadium. They get support. I think there was 40,000 there, even, with a not great product. I think it's a terrific school. I think it's a school that, everyone that went there, they wanted to go there and they wanted to support. I think it's a great state school. I loved Colorado State. By the way, I was desperate to go to Colorado State and they didn't offer me that chance. So that's a good program, and I do think it's a good job. I do think that with the right guy, that's a place that could compete, to be one of the better group of 6 schools in the country and potentially compete to go to a playoff, one every 5 years or something like that. So I'd like to see it increase to that level where it was with Sonny Lubick and all of those guys that I beat 3 times.
You knew it was coming.
Hey,
you knew it.
I could still see the lightning strikes in the background at Mile High. I could still see it was like a scene out of The Natural. Joel Klatt was Roy Hobbs. Very quickly, Joel, do you give CU much of a shot at Utah?
I don't think Devin Dampier is 100% healthy, and I think Colorado is better than people believe they are. So, yes, I do think they have a shot.
All right. Thank you, Joel.
You got it, boys. Have a good day.
Joel Klatt, outstanding job. He gets far more than just a participation ribbon award.
Presented by Groove Toyota. From tailgates to touchdowns, Groove Toyota has you covered.